don't want to do is just apply an overtime amp. Even if it makes sense to you, you don't want to just do that. You want to prove that, right? So it's like this idea that, oh, well, Boruto era characters are like inherently more powerful than Naruto era characters. Nah, chill, relax. Take Jugo, for instance, right? So you have Jugo in Shippuden, who's going up against the Raikage in his lightning cloak. He tries to blitz Jugo, but Jugo is fast enough. His movement speed, reaction speed, he gets his defenses up. So obviously this Jugo, in terms of it, this is Berserk Jugo, by the way. He can scale relative to the movement speed of this version of the Raikage. His durability can tank his offensive potency. Obviously the Raikage has another level, but he's still a Kage, and this is a level, and he does scale to that level. So that's what the data tells you, right? More or less. So why am I bringing this up? Well, then you fast forward to the Boruto era, and then you have Jugo. So if I'm scaling Konohamaru, I'm like, well, Konohamaru can box with Jugo. He's dodging his attacks, getting kicks in, dodging his attacks, and then also counterattack and getting another kick in. He gets rushed. This is Berserk Jugo in the Boruto era, right? 16 years in the future. Konohamaru is dodging the attacks, blocking the attacks, cutting Jugo, causing him to bleed, and he stabs him, dodges. His just combat speed scales to Kage level. Then you go back to this, it's like, okay, well, how would Konohamaru do against Raikage A at this stage? He'd be fine, because Konohamaru is going up against Berserk Jugo, who is 16 years in the future, and I'm saying this version of Jugo is more powerful. It's like, well, Mello, how do you know he hasn't trained? And this gets back to my original point. What you would do is use the data you have to work with. So number one, chakra is comprised of mental and physical energy. So just physically, I mean, look at him. And even when he's in base, his physical form is much bigger. He has much more mass than he does in Shippuden. So that alone gets you his physical energy, which equates to more chakra. And then also you take into consideration the natural progress of time, right? This is just Occam's razor, common sense. A person is going to accrue knowledge over a period of time, certainly 16 years. That might be logical to say, but how do you prove that? How do you know that he could have been in a vegetative state for 16 years? You don't know. And the point is to get him to knowledge is to get him to mental energy, which is to get him more chakra, which is basically to get him to be plus what he was in Shippuden. That's the one-to-one logic, okay? So then you will be like, okay, well, just given the events in this arc that occurred that did not happen in Shippuden, because that's how time works, right? Future events here did not happen in the past. So there's new data that he would have, which equates to more mental energy, which equates to more chakra. No matter how you slice it, this version of Jugo is a plus to this version of Jugo. So what you have here factually is a Konohamaru who's matching a Jugo who is superior to a version of himself who fought the Raikage. So when you say Konohamaru is Kage level, it's a factually accurate statement, which is provable by data, not opinions or memes. Chapter 11 of Two Blue Vortex just took it over the top. Hidari, when he launches his Chidori, this is him plus, because of the Chidori's properties, he's getting a speed amp here. What Konohamaru is doing here in the very next panel is that he's completely turned around. And I want you to understand the gravity of this for scaling Konohamaru, because we already got him Kage level. I just went over it. It's simple, right? When Konohamaru notices the attack, it's already in play. He's launching the attack. He's not readying the attack. He's not charging it. It's actively being launched at him. His movement speed is as such to where he can go from having someone behind him to turning his body. Remember, someone behind him launching an attack that amplifies their speed. This is not his base speed, Hidari. This is his amplified speed. Konohamaru can turn his entire body around before the attack gets to him, and then also activate a jutsu. And remember the cognitive speed in which he needs to know what jutsu to use in this particular circumstance. This feat is fucking ridiculous. The fact that he's able to perceive where Hidari is, number one, track him. Number two, scale beyond Hidari's amplified speed through Chidori. Remember, he's not as fast as Hidari because he moves before Hidari's already launched attack even gets to him. He's faster than Hidari, turns his entire body around, and then activates the correct jutsu given the circumstance. And then here's the kicker. I will acknowledge that the properties of the technique may play a role. He needs to employ enough chakra to even be able to match what's happening here. Otherwise, this jutsu gets ran through. The fact that he even has the chakra quality and quantity to match or deflect or whatever the fuck happens is ridiculous. This feat, once you get past the memes and the jokes and all that bullshit, you get down to the hard analysis. This shit scales Konohamaru fucking ridiculously high. And of course that depends on where you scale Hidari. Even this, right? This is nothing. I don't care about this. He gets right back up at the end of the chapter when Boruto shows up. He's fine. And I don't expect him to be defeating Shinju. Because obviously, I've told you, I think Hirari has more to bring to bear. I think he has a cognitive block that's limiting him. I mean, who you want to put up against Konohamaru with that kind of speed? Like, my God, man. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Getting back to my original point, you don't want to just apply a time skip amp. Although it makes sense that over time people accrue knowledge, which will equate to more mental energy, which equates to more chakra. And if you see a physical change in the body, like an improvement, they're stronger, taller, buffer, that's more physical energy, which equates to more chakra. You can't quantify or measure it, but you understand it's a plus, and that's enough. And then you understand why he's a Kage candidate, and you understand why he's one of the most skilled shinobi of his era. Listen closely. By adding a change in form on top of a change in chakra nature, this is Naruto training to create a super Rasengan, as they called it, to infuse nature wind style into his Rasengan, which is what it's intended to do. Shinobi who can perform both simultaneously are uncommon. So off the bat, you already understand Konohamaru is uncommon. I wasn't able to combine the Rasengan's change in form with a change in chakra nature into lightning. Combining a change in nature with a change in form takes incredible skill. So understand that already Konohamaru's uncommon and he possesses incredible skill, or rather natural talent and intuition. This would be like a Boruto, who naturally infuses lightning release into his Rasengans. And I'm not the only one who failed at this. Even my teacher who invented the jutsu failed as well. So understand that in this regard, Konohamaru is more skilled, naturally talented, and has more intuition, and is uncommon in comparison to that of the 6th Hokage and the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze and Kakashi. And he's also quicker to pick up techniques than the 7th Hokage. This is post-Pain Invasion. You know, you pick things up quicker than I do. Next time, I'll teach you how to create a giant Rasengan or big ball Rasengan. Udamata Rasengan. And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud once we get past all the memes, right? We already know straight up, Konohamaru is what we call a generational talent. Dude's a fucking monster, man. Now, his depiction has been poor, to be fair. This does not surprise me, because I do the work. I analyze the series, I understand who the fuck this is. But if all you're in it for is the memes and the jokes, and you're doing lazy work, then of course this surprises you. You don't understand how this happened. You think this is an ass pull. You think the scaling is dumb. When you don't understand that you're dealing with a fucking generational motherfucker right here. And this shit makes sense. But Kishimoto's clearly going for it. And since that's the case, you're not dealing with some fucking bum. You're dealing with a generational talent who can do things that Minato can't fucking do. That Kakashi can't do, who picks things up way faster than Naruto Uzumaki, the fucking chosen one, bruh. If you hear any scaling about Konohamaru and they don't do what I just did, understand that you're listening to someone who's full of shit, who's not doing what we call the work, right?